start with just a thank you to our partner in St. Alphonsus. And I always start every call with this quote: education is learning what you didn't even know you didn't know. And I think that's just so important. One thing that's just really important to know, if you don't already, is that all of our calls are recorded. And so I love that, right? Because if maybe there's something key that you hear today that you want to go back to, you'll have that opportunity. Or if there's ever a session that you really want to be able to join in, but you're unable to, you'll be able to go back and retrieve that as well. So a couple different ways you can look at all of those calls by just going to this website you see here. That might be the easiest way. You can also use this scan code, or you could also always just reach out to me personally, and I'm happy to support you and get you into those. But would love for you to have the opportunity to view any previous phone calls. We have a full year of 25, and then we'll have a full year of 2026. And then just for what is coming next, right? So we see our upcoming calls that we have for the remainder of the year that's moving into Heart and Peace. One thing that's really exciting, if you're not familiar with it, I've mentioned this a little bit in our previous calls, is that we do have upcoming the 6th Annual Brain Health Symposium. So that will be what we do in October, and registration is now open. So we would love to see you there. And I just put a couple things just as easy ways to register. So if you are a code person, you can easily take a picture of that. You could also go to this website and easily do it that way. Or if you're like, I don't really like any of those options, Mary, feel free to just give me a call, and I am so happy just to register you over the phone and keep it nice and easy for you. So, but we'd love to see you there. If you have any questions about the event, please let us know. We'd love to see you. So today we are so fortunate to be joined by Laura LaForte, and her presentation entitled is The Infinite Ripple: Cultivating Compassion and Connection in the Wake of Care. Want to do a formal introduction to Miss Laura here. So Laura is a licensed clinical social worker. She is accepting clients in both Idaho and Washington for therapy and consultation services. She has a wealth of experience and passion for helping navigate life's challenges. And really her focus is to provide individualized, compassionate, person-centered care to all of her clients. So she's got 30 years in practice. She has significant experience with behavioral health and wellness, as well as complex medical issues contributing to psychosocial needs. And she is designated as a specialist in geriatric mental health. So it's such a pleasure to have you join us, Laura. I am going to leave this presentation here and pull up yours.
Let me see what I can do, because I just see people and not my presentation. Mary, can you hear me?
Looks, Laura, like we lost Mary.
I can see everybody. Yeah, that's why you probably can't see the presentation.
Oh yeah, no, she's still there. You have your presentation loaded yourself, like you were gonna share it from yours. Oh, there's Mary.
There she is. Perfect.
And there's your presentation. Looks great.
Wonderful. Well, first, I wanted to say thank you to the YMCA and St. Alphonsus to give the opportunity to be able to share with this community some of the work that I do. Today, I'm in partnership with a client that I have who has brought a really great example on artistic expression of the feelings associated with caregiving. I'll be introducing him and his work later. The title of the presentation is The Infinite Ripple, and that's because that is always the image that has come to mind to me when I am working with people either who have been newly diagnosed or well into the process of a dementia, and all of their people in their, what I call the dementia ecosystem, the people who are supporting them. And it seems to me that everyone has a lot of feelings about what's happening, a lot of great emotion and difficulty in being able to process it. And so it seems to me that it just goes on and on and on, hence the ripple. It just keeps going out and out and out further, and seemingly never ends. It's also symbolic because sometimes we can get tied into feelings that are only negative or difficult. So the ripple feels like it's only going one direction, but then a person or an interaction or a feeling from somebody else can be a counterpoint to that. And it's an interesting dynamic to think about as we talk about this today. Okay, next slide. I should also say, I was watching the videos. This is my first time presenting in something like this, so I don't believe that I have any conflicts at all, and I feel very happy to be able to do this today. The learning objectives for the presentation today are to identify people affected in the dementia ecosystem. And when you're listening to me, if you could be thinking about your own ecosystem, we'll be interested maybe to hear some other people share a little bit about that. The second is to describe the broad spectrum of feelings produced by affiliation to the ecosystem. Explore different ways of expanding your relationship with dementia, and I'll go into more detail about this. Challenge yourself to be thinking about your relationship with dementia. Where are you at now, and where might you move to if you got expansive in your thinking? Learn to create ways to express your emotions surrounding dementia. This is part of why Charles is joining us today with his expression, and we have a lot of ideas on how to teach you to express your emotions as well. Next slide. So I just thought it would be a good idea to pop in a slide about how I came to specialize in supporting people living with dementia and anybody in their ecosystem. This is a picture of my mother and my sister. This is my tight little ecosystem, and there's many other people involved. This is a picture of us on a cross-country trip where we stopped at some wetlands in Wyoming and saw buffalo. This was move number 4 into a different assisted living for my mom, who had been diagnosed for probably 9 years at that point. Okay, next slide. So in our ecosystem of dementia, of course, the person at the center is the person experiencing dementia. And then there's others that will be added. So as we click, Mary's going to click, it'll pop in some other things. Yeah, there we go. So of course, the care team that's servicing them, such as the Saint Alphonsus Palliative and Memory Care Clinic, their family, of course, especially the primary caregiver responsible for providing their care and being with them every day, extended family, adult children, grandchildren, sisters, brothers, parents, all involved, and of course, friends. These are, I think, the obvious ecosystem, and we're going to talk a little bit more about who else might be involved. Next slide. So, who forms your basic ecosystem when you think about dementia that is in your life? Of course, as we mentioned, we have friends, we have family, we have everybody involved in their care. We might have extended social communities, affiliations from school or from clubs or from sporting things that we've done. But who might we not expect? Believe it or not, based off of my care working with this population, public servants of all kinds are very involved in part of the ecosystem. Who I'm talking about here is, for example, mail delivery people for the US Post Office, the UPS driver, even the Amazon delivery person. I have stories about how these public servants are intimately involved in a person with dementia and supporting their families. Expanding further out to that, waste management, people that are willing, there's even a service that you can do, but people that have become on a first name basis with the waste management, people taking out the garbage and recycling, helping, being aware that there's a person that needs support. And it just makes my heart feel so good to hear about these stories in session and who else involved in supporting them. So the thing about your dementia ecosystem is that it's a relationship that is sometimes very lovely and supportive. It's also a relationship that sometimes causes quite a big amount of pain and frustration. We have people who are sometimes suffering in silos because they don't know how to express the help that they need, or they're afraid to express the help that they need, or they're afraid to share how they're feeling because they don't want to hurt people's feelings. They don't want to make people upset. And so when we start getting big in our thinking and we think about how large our ecosystem is, then you start to realize you don't have to be alone in this process. Next slide, please. So taking a minute to think about who is in your ecosystem. If you could, if you feel so inclined, just drop into the chat if there's somebody that I haven't mentioned, if there's somebody that is, you know, thought-provoking for people to think about. I would love to see it because that helps us kind of get an even more expansive understanding of things. And if not, that's okay too. Not really seeing anything. So we'll move on to the next slide. People can add it later too. Okay, so now we're moving on to the feelings related to everyone affected in the dementia ecosystem. This by no means is an exhaustive list, but it's something that comes up a lot with the people that I work with. So to start off with, in the beginning, and even long before the beginning, if somebody has delayed kind of finding out what's going on, the feeling that people tell me is, and this is not exactly a feeling, but something's not quite right. There's something off. They can't exactly put their finger on it. They don't want to put their finger on it because underneath is fear about what might be happening. Disbelief, like it just can't possibly be happening to them. And this is both from the person diagnosed and somebody significant in their lives, just having a really hard time wrapping your head around it. Morphing into worry, anxiety, not knowing how to get your footing, where to begin, trying to accept this, where to get the support. This also makes people feel disconnected, isolated, alone in the process. We barter, we go back and forth with denial. At first it's disbelief, but then it's like doubling down that it's not happening. And so kind of like head in the sand sometimes, like not wanting to face it, understandable. Again, feeling isolated, feeling confusion, sometimes feeling perfectly able to navigate the world and feeling like I've got this, I can handle this. And then the next day, like just feeling completely lost about it. Of course, sadness, anger, huge amounts of anger come out. Why is this happening to me? Why at this age? Why at this time? I wanted to be able to do this. I just retired, so feeling very frustrated. Skepticism, sometimes there can be, when you feel like it's a disbelief and you're in denial about what's happening, sometimes you can start questioning and feeling skeptical about who you're working with, maybe your provider, maybe there's some distrust that morphs out of what's happening. And that's okay. It's it's a fluid process as we feel all of these feelings. Sometimes I hear quite a lot about regret, that somebody really wished that they could do something, a trip, a sporting event, a different work, things like that, that they now feel is no longer a choice for them. So regret. Grief, of course, lots of different types of grief. Current grief for what's happening, anticipatory grief about what they're missing, multiple losses are viewed and expressed. Grief about what you had anticipated your mom was going to do with your new baby, or grief about feeling like you waited so long to retire that you didn't do things before. Fear, real fear about exactly what the journey is going to look like. Misunderstood, like just difficulty expressing ourselves, all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, person diagnosed, family member, friends, difficulty in expressing exactly how you're feeling. And again, this changes over time. And then lastly, feeling hopeless, feeling like it doesn't really matter what you do because it's not going to change the outcome. So lots of time spent about what's better, focusing on the outcome or on the experience. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, before we go to the next slide, I just thought I would take a look at the comments, and I see transportation services. Yes, you are absolutely right, Stephen. Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, absolutely. You might have said an ecosystem partner is the hairdresser or the barber. Yes. The nail person. Yes. All of that. Actually, maybe they've gone shopping at a place for a long time, and the person that's helped them for several years knows their style, knows what to pull when they can no longer do it. Great contributions. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Next slide, please. So actually, is there a way to go back? Sorry. Mm-hmm. First time presenting. Okay, so I do want people also, please express your feelings in the chat. If I have missed something, if you want to add something, I would love to see it. It's really valuable for us to have. So lots of these were sort of focused on some of the more challenging things, but there can also be other things. So we'll go ahead with the next slide here in the presentation, but then we'll talk about the feelings again when I see. Okay, so I would like to introduce my client, Charles, who has become a beautiful writer of poetry, which helps him work out his feelings. And Charles, I'll let you decide before you start reading if you want to share anything else about yourself or not.
Yeah, my wife suffers from dementia. Her doctor said it's a different type of dementia and not Alzheimer's. So I guess that's, I can't say it's better or worse. We weren't sure though when it actually started. Our daughter thinks it was sometime in 2020, but as you mentioned in one of your slides, things just were different, and her behavior was different. And then she had some MRIs and basically was diagnosed with cognitive decline. For all intents and purposes, she functions beautifully in many ways, but she just has no short-term memory whatsoever. And it seems to be getting worse. So what happened is in April, I've kind of found a refuge on our front porch, and I sometimes go out there. I shouldn't say sometimes, I often go out there and I smoke a cigar. And though my doctor said that is probably not the best for my health, she understands why I do it. And that gets me some peace where I can just reflect and not be badgered by when are we going, what are we doing, what are we doing tomorrow, it becomes like a Gatling gun, and it's very sometimes hard to cope with. And what happened is I was sitting smoking a cigar on the front porch. This was in April, and I just started on my phone in the notes app writing this poem. And I did it while tears were running down my eyes. And Laura, I don't know if you want me to read the poem. I mean, everyone there can see it.
Yes, I do. I would love for you to read it. Yes.
Yeah, and it was, I was sitting there thinking, I just want to run screaming down the street because I can't handle this anymore and I don't know what to do. So it started with, and I titled it The Caregiver. I wonder what they'll say when they see him screaming, running down the street. I wonder what they'll say when he is caught and bound hand and feet. I wonder what they'll say when he can do it no more. I wonder what they'll say when his patience has hit the floor. He tries to do all he can, but in the end, he's only one man. It gets harder and harder for him to cope, but he tries his best not to give up hope. And we do. We hope for a cure. We hope for something that will make this go away. I wonder what they'll say if he ends it all one night. But he knows in his heart that wouldn't be right, although those thoughts keep him awake at night. He wants to weep for her both day and night, but he knows that wouldn't look right. He no longer knows quite what to do, and he continues to look for that hidden clue. Is it a pill? Is it a doctor? Is it a treatment? He's trying to look for something that can make this better. He loves her more than words can say, but that doesn't make for a better day. He has lost his confidant, his lover, and his best friend. Things he thought he'd have till the end. Friends will come and friends will go, but those he hoped for never show. And that was a major disappointment that I did not expect. I don't want them to think that he failed at this test. He did what he could, but maybe they'll think it wasn't his best. I do hope in the end they'll say he did his very best to try to survive life's biggest test. But maybe it just wasn't his best. So now I'm up to 45 plus poems and on a variety of subjects, most of dealing with being a caregiver and some on now learning to play the guitar and my refuge out on the front porch and other things like that. But it just, I don't know where they came from because I've never written poems before.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Charles, and for giving a little bit of background information to it. I think it is, and please in the chat, if you're so inclined, throw Charles some love for this beautiful poem. This poem really grabbed me. It is such a good picture of what it's like and the thoughts that go through people's head. And I'm glad he shared where he writes, because that also is part of a regular thing, being able to take a break, take a big breath, have some time for reflection. So Dr. Kuntz says that's really a beautiful poem. Lovely.
Well, thank you.
I love it. So while we're looking and seeing what other people are writing, I wanted to share that inspired by Charles, and Charles doesn't just do that. He does a lot of very inspirational things, and you'll see on the section of my slide where I talk about getting expansive in creation, about working out your feelings. Charles is a significant contributor to the things that I have written. He is a person that would explore every nook and cranny of the earth and talent that one could possibly do. But so inspired by him, I have really been encouraging my clients to think about their ways of expression. Some of them are also writing poetry or short stories. Some of them are writing music. We'll talk more about that later because I have a slide on it. Yeah. These are beautiful. Very nice. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so ways to expand your relationship with dementia. And this is at the cornerstone of the work that I do with my clients, because while I certainly want to validate their feelings and support and provide a safe space for them to share their truths about what it's like and how hard it is, I also challenge them to get expansive in their thinking about the relationship with dementia, so that they realize that there is more than one way to go down this journey. So we talk about becoming compassionately curious with both yourself and others. So when I'm encouraging people to be compassionate and thinking about themselves and how they feel, what I'm also talking about is getting out of reaction, getting out of reacting to the situation, and instead taking control, leaning into the situation to see what it is that it's providing for them, strangely enough. In doing that, something that really helps in the continuous ripple is getting out of the silos. The way we do that is we get compassionately curious about other people that are involved in our ecosystem. That means not necessarily making an assumption that somebody doesn't have time or they don't care or they don't know what to do, but really seeking to find out how they are doing. Even when you're the caregiver, you're exhausted, so you're wanting people to check on you. But people take their clues from you as the primary caregiver. So checking in with your adult children, checking in with the people in your ecosystem about how they're feeling, how they're doing, and opening up a dialogue so that you all are now connected together instead of feeling frustrated and not knowing what to do with each other. Seeking to understand what the most present feeling is for both of you. I think that's a really important one to do. So I just encourage people to say, I want to share how I'm feeling and what I'm doing, and I'm also equally interested in hearing how you're doing. So again, how might you lean into this, explore what dementia has to offer, because it's more than loss. Sharing experiences draw connection. It helps us to embrace the journey, and it helps us to focus on the future and stay present in our lives instead of anticipating and worrying about what may or may not happen in the future. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, so the way that we do some of this with expressing ourselves, besides having conversations with people, which sometimes can be challenging, is by doing what I call these expressions of life art. And this is the example that I was saying where Charles does some of these. So singing is something that if you like to sing, immediately changes mood and energy. And this is true for both a person diagnosed with dementia and a person caregiving. So when I'm talking about any of these things, I'm really talking about everybody all at the same time. So singing, if you have somebody who's angry or irritable or having a hard time, or you're having difficulty getting them to move, singing of any kind for whatever reason, singing allows, it's like a time machine where everybody can hop on board and it catapults them to a different area. And so I highly recommend, if you don't know what else to do with yourself, sing some song that you like, sing some song that you think your person that you're caring for likes, and it really helps. In my case with my mom, I have any 50s doo-wop music I can sing, and she immediately will start tapping her hands or smiling or being willing to move or something when it's been frustrating. So I encourage it. Playing music is a creation type of thing, learning something new or going back to something, returning to something that you used to do in an earlier time of your life. Laughing whenever possible, laughing for laughing's sake, finding things that are funny, and seeing if you can make your loved one laugh by being silly or interacting with them in a different way. Believe it or not, screaming is a great life art. If you really can get into it, if you can find a safe space to be able to scream, you can try different types of screaming. You can try wailing. You can try, there's all kinds of different things if you start practicing. And again, this is a transition of energy. It's very effective. Writing, dancing, of course, which usually comes along with music. Intimacy. So we've been talking quite a lot in session lately with my clients about intimacy. And this could be another whole lecture actually, but when a relationship as dementia continues, intimacy can change. And it can lead to feelings of not only not having that same type of relationship with your partner, but missing basic core needs of being a human: touch, snuggling, back rubs. I have, clients that just miss not only being the only person that thinks about it. So intimacy can also be found safely in other arenas. I'm doing a little bit of research on this, so more to come. But for example, in Boise, there's actually a professional cuddling company. So, and big cities have had this all over for a long time: New York City, Chicago, LA. There are professional cuddlers, is what they call them, and they will come and rub your back and take a nap with you, and there's nothing inappropriate about it. It's just being able to have some touch, and that can be quite helpful. So expressing yourself through painting, drawing. I have some people that do ceramics, cooking, sewing. I have a gal who really works out. She might even be here today. Really works out a lot of her feelings through her sewing, and the benefit to her is incredible. But she benefits hundreds, if not thousands, of people with what she sews. She's involved with several nonprofit organizations that provide love and care and gifts to people, and it is incredible. Same thing with knitting, gardening at home, exercising, moving your body in any way, shape, or form. Meditating, certainly. If you haven't tried it, I highly encourage it. I have a recommendation just for a guided meditation here at the end of the slides. Expressing yourself through fashion, and that's not just clothes that I'm talking about. Expressing yourself, getting some release from your caregiving duties or from your worries, being diagnosed by doing your hair differently, wearing different makeup, wearing different jewelry, trying a new look. I have somebody that's involved in this, and it's very, very cool. Being out in nature, seeing nature, watching clouds, stargazing, watching the sunrise and the sunset whenever possible. These are things that we have available to us while we are early diagnosed, or if we're well into the process, and everyone in our ecosystem can benefit from slowing down and appreciating these things in life. They are magical and help a lot. And then the last one, actually, my daughter shared this with me, although I'd done it before. If you don't know the concept of forest bathing, it's about experiencing something when you're doing some sort of an activity, most likely outdoors, where you purposely focus on your different senses. So at first you take everything in just with your eyes. Let's say you're hiking, you're walking along, you're just like noticing with your eyes. Then you switch and you're hiking and you're just listening with your ears. So noticing the things that you're hearing, the wind blowing, the birds singing, a little chirp of some kind. And then moving on to your nose and what you smell as you're doing the exact same activity. This is very effective for connecting us in the here and now, and also very, very relaxing. Okay, if any of you in the chat can think of any other expressions of life art, if you have any specific question related to this, please drop something into the chat and we'll see if we can address it. If not through myself, if Dr. Kuntz is still on, or anybody else that has some thoughts about it, it would be great to share. Okay, I think we can go to the next slide. Oh, yeah, I'm kind of coming to the end. Okay, so I wanted to talk, these are not I have a lengthy list of resources, mostly that I kidnapped from other people that are smarter than me. But these are my resources that I used as motivation for this particular talk today. So I want to explain just briefly. If you haven't listened to the Yes Meditation by Tara Brach, I highly, highly encourage you to do so. I know for sure you can do this meditation on an app called Mindfulness. There's all kinds of different meditation apps. This particular, Tara Brach is almost on any app you'll ever find, but this particular meditation is on mindfulness. And here's why it's so perfect for this talk today. So what she does, leading you through breath work, letting you conjure up what's troubling you most, the feeling that is just so challenging and difficult, the situation, whatever it may be. She has you conjure it up. And it's basically, she wants you to wrap that thought, that feeling, that frustration into a bubble. And the bubble is no. No, I don't want this. No, I didn't ask for this. No, I don't want it here. I want it to go away. So then she has you breathe into it and you're pushing the bubble of no away from your body. So then she says some other fabulous things that I can't remember. And then she has the bubble come back to us. And now, based off of the breath work and the relaxation and the connecting to all the things that we've talked about today, she has us take that exact same bubble of no. So it's not that we have changed our mind. We don't want the dementia. We don't want the loss. But now we're going to take that no and we're wrapping it in a bubble of yes. Yes, no, I don't want this, but yes, I can do this. No, I don't like this, but yes, I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to see what this situation, this dynamic has to offer me. And I'm going to do my best to embrace it so that I can have my life be expansive and full and enjoyable, even in the midst of so much frustration and loss. I can't recommend it enough. I've probably listened to it hundreds and hundreds of times, and every client that I suggest do it, they're saying they listen to it on repeat because it's effective, even if it's a new situation or things are changing. Fantastic. Okay, also a Bible for me is When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. Incredible. So it's just something that really helps. It has a Buddhist type bent to it. This is an American female woman who was a fourth grade teacher in New York City, who took kids on a field trip and followed a Buddhist who did a lot of teaching, and she ended up studying it. And now she is 80. I believe she's 88 years old, and she's been practicing ever since, and she runs a healing center in Nova Scotia. This book is something that has not only gotten me through extremely challenging times in life, but many, many, many people that I know, and you, again, can return to it. And then lastly, and not lastly, but Dr. Desai's, I know he's not here today with us right now, but he and his wife have written this Stop, Smile, and Go meditation. I'm sure it's on the Saint Alphonsus website. This is something that I use frequently in session. I can use it to help kind of drop people down into their bodies when they're really upset. I can use it to end session. I use it for myself. What's so lovely about it is that it is a 1-minute meditation that helps you hit a reset. And it, I think, might be really fun for us to end if we have time on this. We also have a second poem of Charles's that is a possibility for reading. And so I would say, Mary, if there's comments that you've seen, if you want to read them, or if anybody in the chat at this point has questions for myself or wants to share something or has a question for Charles or wants to say something else about his writing, this would be a good time to do so.
Yeah, Laura, if you don't mind, I'm going to add, Dr. Kuntz added, thank you. I love all these ideas, Laura. Improv with Aging Strong is another great program, I believe
Yes,
delivered through St. Alphonsus. So that would be another option.
yeah.
And then I believe maybe this is a question from Honey. So Honey, feel free to unmute if I'm misunderstanding. It says, is the app on my phone mindfulness? It's a purple box with a white circle in the middle and a wavy line in the middle of the white circle. Is that the app
It
that?
looks like this. It's blue and it's a white person in a meditative stance. In like a Do you see it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Not that I'm not touting mindfulness. It just happens to be that sometimes when I search for that meditation on other people, on other apps, I don't find it, but I do find other pieces of her work.
Perfect. And then, okay, she said, yep, that's what she was doing. She's just,
Okay.
her mic was not working, but she's looking for the right one. So,
Awesome.
yeah. And just looking to see if we have any other comments. I'll go ahead. Anything else that anybody would like to ask, or Dr. Kuntz or Dr. McCurry, anything that you would like to add or add as well?
I just wanted to thank both Laura and Carl for sharing